Good, how are you?
Good, good, good to talk again. Thanks for agreeing to have a chat with me once again.
Not a problem. How many questions do we have this time?
About the same as usual, so a fucking lot.
Alrighty,
So, shall we get into it?
let's go.
All right, let's do it. This will be the last one of these for the year. This is our special Christmas question and answer session. So,
Send off to 2020.
yeah, something
Make
like
the
that.
end, but make the year end as terribly as it's been
What
so
a
far.
lovely year.
Mm.
Um, let's get on with it. The first one, I'm going to send you a link. Um,
Boo.
yeah,
Links.
I know it's always a downer
We
when you,
don't like it.
but we will persist. Hang on, I'll just get the chat up, and there it is. Okay, so the question that goes along with this one is: do acts like this offset the doxing, coordinated harassment, and life-ruining campaigns, e.g., trying to get people fired
No,
from jobs, kicked out of school,
no,
etc., that
no,
armies do, in your opinion?
no, no. Like that like that picture and that article is just the biggest load of self-righteous bullshit that no, it's bullshit. They built the trolling blueprint for 4chan types. Are you fucking kidding me? 4chan has existed
A long time ago.
long
Yeah.
before BTS were even training at Big Hit. They think they're so nice and that they're so goody two shoes because, oh, we disrupted Trump. Bitch, your fan base was fucking led by a Trump evangelical Christian for years, and every time, and that's Miss Beatrice for anyone wondering. And anytime people tried to call that out, it was silenced, it was buried, and then she finally got exposed only after her church literally killed a child with COVID by having like a welcome back party or something, and it spread, and the kid got infected from the church that Miss Beatrice is like administrator in. So no, the fact that you like to do PR stunt activism does not absolve you of the doxing and the enabling of actual Trump supporters as 40,000 follower fan base leaders. So, no, fuck off. Next.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the what did they achieve really? I mean, even looking at it the most positively way you possibly can, all they did was stop a few people from turning up at a Trump rally. I mean, it's not. I'm sure people didn't go, oh, gee, I didn't get to go to that Trump rally. Think I'm going to vote for Biden now. You know,
Mm,
it's not going to change how anyone feels about anything. It doesn't do anything. It's like,
no. And then they talk about that donation and we matched 1 million. Well, for starters, that donation came like a week after other artists had already been speaking out about it and people had been begging BTS to actually use their platform. And when the people, like, as in when the fans who were actually asking BTS to speak, um, they were getting harassed and told, oh, they don't have the ability to use their platform. It's American politics. It's not to do with Korean politics. They can't actually speak. And I shit you not, this was like a legitimate thing being spread around with thousands and thousands of retweets and reposts. It was BTS actually can't speak because they're a soft political like force. And if they speak, then they could actually start a war, and then all of a sudden they make one half-ass tweet and then throw $1 million as a PR stunt from the company, not the members,
mm,
to the charity, and all of a sudden they're like, the next coming of Martin Luther King. It's like, fuck off.
yeah,
And the fandom, of course, matches the donation because that gives them bragging rights over everyone else who actually was already participating in the cause without having to be dragged kicking and screaming there.
yeah, it's a bunch of cock shit. Anyway,
Mhm.
let's move
Next.
on to. Oh, okay, here's an either or: in-person voyeurism or VR porn.
Oh, that's interesting. VR porn because I don't like face-to-face interactions with anyone.
Fair enough. I don't know. I don't. I'd probably do in person because I don't really like VR headsets. I've,
Fair enough.
so
Yeah, they're clunky.
it pissed me off, I think.
Mm.
Next, Sung Yul is finally out of his military service.
Yes.
Um, from Infinite, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, I remembered. What's
Infinitely SY days, mate.
yeah?
Infinitely SY.
What's your opinion about military enlistment as the escape route for male idols when there will be in controversies? And also
Oh,
enjoyed the last podcast. Have a nice day.
thank you. Well, I know that Sokjin is basically counting down the days until he can finally get a break with his military service. Everyone keeps acting like BTS aren't going to have to enlist. They got deferred. And it's like, yeah, mate, deferred, not cancelled. It just got postponed by literally a year because they say, like, oh, they only have to serve when they're 30. Sokjin is 29 in Korean age right now, and he'll be 30 in Korean age next year. So, congratulations, you've delayed the inevitable by a year. Um, I hate, like, hate isn't even a strong enough word, and I don't think there is a word that is strong enough to describe how much I hate male idols that use enlistment as a way to escape like jail sentence level crimes, like
Mm,
Kangen and his hit and run, and I'm sure like Sungri and him running off into the military
mm,
right as his shit hits the fan. Like, I think it's despicable because something that every male in your country has to do is obviously not a punishment compared
no.
to the one that your crime deserves. And then obviously Korea has a shitload of problems with their judicial system and the
On the other hand, though,
crimes.
when are they? I mean, from their perspective, it obviously makes sense to do it at that time because
Of course, because like, let the heat blow over and you don't even have to be there to deal with it. And by the time you come back, you hope everyone's forgotten about it. So like I understand the logic of why they do it. The fact that they're actually able to get away with it is the
mm.
horrible part.
And even whether even if they weren't evading punishment, it'd still make sense just from the point of view of well, it's not like they want to come back the next week. So,
Mm. Oh, what's
um,
his Kim Hyun Jung as well? He did it.
mm.
Yeah, men are trash. What else is new?
Next.
Next.
Thoughts on Chanyeol issue and SM basically throwing him under the bus.
I think that was funny. For anyone who's not aware, it was basically like Chanyeol's girlfriend or probably ex-girlfriend now, like went on social media of some sort. I think it was a pan post or one of those Korean social medias, and basically just like dragged him for filth over cheating on her.
Mm.
And SM's statement was basically, "This is our artist's private life. We have nothing to comment on this matter." And it's like, can you imagine? I mean, it's pretty easy to imagine anything really with K-pop, but it's just the manner at which they went about it compared to, I guess, the way that they would have been defending EXO in their 2013 peak era. It's just so blatantly obvious the way that K-pop is a revolving door system, and that after your expiry at the peak of your fame is over,
Mm.
it's just next, we're on to NCT now. We don't give a shit, literally. They only see EXO as a way to promote their newer groups, which is honestly quite sad because the group really did have a massive fan base. Not that encouraging massive fan bases is a good thing, but it's more to do with the members personally in terms of they had a lot of career left in them. They're in their 20s. You'd think they were being treated like they were, 40 years old and trying to still hang on to the scraps of their millennial fame from 2000 or something. But this is a group who had a lot of potential to continue being successful and sell millions of records, but now we want to just churn out the next group. It's like, okay.
Could you possibly interpret that though as um, uh, because the idols are older, it's like sort of there's sort of implicit permission there to date, which they wouldn't have had if they were a young group like NCT, if you know what I mean.
Kind of.
So they might be sort of saying, well, he's kind of older, he can do what he wants, he's past the whole dating ban thing, so we don't really care. As opposed to our young men in NCT don't do the the D
The
word.
nasty. A little, but I think that it's more to do with the fact that they were going with that non-answer rather than a straight out no, he did not do this because it was very defamatory to his image.
Hmm.
And SM always puts out those statements like, if you say anything about our artists, we'll sue you in court. We'll sue you. And they act all tough, but then like, you get a situation like that and they can't even be bothered to say, hey, don't say that. No. They're just like, shrug.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
problem, not mine. So it's like, that's really not living up to their own hype.
No, I guess not. But then I don't know. I feel like their own hype's kind of silly anyway. So
Of course. That's
well,
why it's funny.
yeah. Next, given that K-pop lead singles can be a lucky dip in terms of quality,
Mm,
e.g., Twice as More and More being a huge mess versus I Can't Stop Me being pretty amazing. Do
agreed.
you do you appreciate it when K-pop groups remake their monster hits several times? For instance, Exod's Up and Down, Super Junior's Sorry Sorry Momoland's Boom Boom.
I mean, I understand why they do it because it's basically you spend so long throwing shit at a wall and hoping something sticks that when something does stick, then you kind of think you're onto a winning formula. So you want more things to stick to the wall. So you
Mm,
stick with the thing that stuck to the wall.
yep.
But yeah, it's like a bit of a risk in that way because then you become stale and boring and you're the group that basically just remixes your own song 100 times every time you come back. So it's where do you find the balance between being a consistent sound that people like whilst also maintaining something fresh and new?
Mm,
I mean, I think Infinite is a group that managed to do that quite well in terms of having a distinctive sound, but also switching it up in terms of their delivery. And I think Kara was another good group at doing that as well. G Friend is a contentious example, given that people will definitely accuse them of rehashing their same stuff over and over and over again. But I like to think that their songs have enough differences in between them to make them stand out, in my opinion. But
mm,
yeah, I get why they do it, and half the time I don't mind because it's like if you were into K-pop in 2012, I'm pretty sure everyone who would remember K-pop, and it wasn't just like one group, it was like all the groups that Brave Sound wrote songs for basically remixed Sisters alone for 2 years straight. So that was quite hilarious, if anything. So at least it's now down to groups recycling their own song back in the compared to back in the day when it was multiple groups recycling the same three songwriters that K-pop had. So thank God for that expansion.
yeah, more songwriters have got into it now. But yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, no one has a go at AC/DC for you know
They've been doing it for
doing
40 years.
doing the same album since 1981. So I think there's nothing wrong with trying to be consistent and or trying to perfect a formula or try and if people want it, yeah, it's with pop music, it's really hard to write a hit song. It's very difficult.
Yeah, it's also a
There's
bit like you can't exactly reinvent the wheel when it
mm,
comes to pop music either. So it's like how much variety can
yeah,
any group really produce? And then if you can produce a lot of variety in your music, often it doesn't work because people don't like the fact that they get into an artist and then the next album sounds nothing like the group that they were supposedly getting into. So,
yeah, there's yeah, the groups that generally do well across the board in all styles are the ones who find something consistent and stick with it and
mm,
just sort of do minor variations basically.
mhm,
So, and while I do quite admire some groups who don't do that, it's a huge risk,
mhm.
and the groups who do that usually do it because they either some very strange personal things happened in their lives, or they just felt artistically compelled and knew it would be a bad idea commercially. So, but just thought, fuck it, we really
Well, it's
got to
interesting.
change.
Like outside of K-pop, there's an artist that I really, really liked called Poppy, or That Poppy at one point she was known
Mm,
as. And her 2016 album, it was an EP. It was called Bubble Bath. It's one of the greatest pop releases of all time, in my opinion. And then she came out with her debut album itself, which was I think something like I Am Poppy or something along those lines. I know for such a great fan of hers that I am, I can't even remember her album titles.
mm.
And then her next
And
album,
she went
Black
heavy
and White.
metal.
No, that was yeah, that was like hinted at with the Black and White album because it
Mm,
was like, again, it's like I know the album about like 8/10 or 4/5 of the album is like, pop music, very similar in style to the first two releases, but then like the last two songs like fuse into metal,
mm,
and then the next album is pretty much entirely metal. And I don't hate metal. Like, there's a few metal artists that I do enjoy, but I just didn't like her take on metal. I didn't like her
mm.
version on it. So I went from having this artist who I thought was like, the greatest second coming of Britney Spears era pop peak to suddenly going, what the fuck is this? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really not that good
Mm.
to completely change and throw off what fan base that you do have.
yeah, it's very hard to survive when people do that, and there are some success stories, but not very many.
It's like I still wish her all the best and shit, but it's
Mm,
just like, I'm not buying the album if I don't like the songs.
of course. Let's move on. Why do you think that JYP has been consistently been trying to hide Twice's Jihyo's voluminous assets for basically her whole career? I would have thought the voluptuousness body type would be a big hit with male fans. I remember reading Netizen Buzz articles back in the day about Secret's Hyosung, and an ever-recurring K-Netizen comment would be ones begging her to stop losing weight.
Mm. I think it's partially because JYP is trying to market them more towards the general public and female fans as well, rather than specifically to men.
Hmm.
And Korea, unfortunately, is really weirdly conservative. So it's like you got girls who go out in winter in miniskirts because showing leg is like almost that expected. But if you show even like a hint of cleavage over there, it's like, you whore. You can't even show your shoulders. Like people don't wear singlets.
Hmm.
They wear like if you wear a singlet, then you wear a cardigan over the top or something like that. So it's like a weird thing culture wise where they like don't show the shoulders,
Hmm.
don't show the cleavage. It's very conservative in terms of dressing above like in the torso region. So if she were to be showing off the goods per se, then it could possibly negatively affect the public reception to her, which is, I think that's stupid, but it's, to answer that question quite literally, that's what I perceive as being the main factor.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think that, I mean, everyone kind of knows, what she
She's
looks like,
stacked.
that she's stacked, right? And I mean, I know that because of my blog search results tell me that. I know what people search for, and they search for Jiho. And so it's not like she really needs to put much of an effort in to collect that audience up. So pandering to them even more isn't really going to collect any extra.
Mm.
They're going to like it anyway. It's like,
And
um,
almost and like a lot of the times with people like that as well, it's like the thrill of the chase, that kind of thing, in terms of the fact that it's only a tease is what keeps them coming back, versus if
yeah,
you start like showing off the goods all the time, then
yeah,
it's
of
kind
course.
of like they lose the interest.
I mean, these days, if you want to look at porn, you can just go and do it. It's
Mm.
available. So the people who are going to either my site or Kpop or whatever to look at her, they obviously want something that's a bit more, teasy and stuff like that. Teasing rather than pleasing, and
Mm.
and I think it's fine if that's what they want. And I mean, I don't really care about it that much
Yeah.
myself, but whatever. I get why people like it, but I don't think there's any reason to pander to that audience because they're going to be there anyway for someone like that.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
they're also the least likely to actually spend money. I mean, if you look at Hyosung's solo album sales, it's really not that high.
No, no, they're just. I'm sure they're buying something. It's not that.
Mm.
Next question is going to be in 2010 and 2011. Can Mi Yoon had a trilogy of songs about a crazy Saesang fangirl going crazy paparazzi and won't meet you. Yeah.
Michoka. I like that song.
How do you think said songs would be received today? Also, do you think that the vocal Western K-pop fan base on social media would have a different reaction to domestic Korean audiences?
Well, I don't actually like I know the song, but I don't know the reception and how it was received, so I can't exactly make a comparison between
Hmm.
now and then for that reason.
Yeah, me
But
neither, to be honest.
yeah, I would love to see more idols releasing music or outright blunt statements that just basically tell Sasaengs to get fucked.
Hmm.
And the Western fan part of that question, I think, is a bit ironic because Western fans always love to see themselves as being morally superior to the Korean Sasaengs. They're like,
Hmm.
ugh, they're so bad. They like stock their houses. Leave them alone. How could you do that? But then, like the second that a Korean idol gets off the plane, they're following from the airport to their hotel, camping out in the hotel lobby, and doing the exact same shit as them. But they like to excuse themselves by saying stuff like, "Oh, well, they're only here once, so it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, so that makes it okay." So, massive hypocrisy. So
I like the
they
fangirl
probably
voice.
thank you. It's one of the many impersonation talents that I have. But as we have discussed before.
Yes.
But yeah, it's like, they think they're so morally superior when they're essentially just as bad, but they, refuse to admit it.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's been a few things like that. I don't know. Isn't that what BTS's Fake Love is?
Hmm. Oh, you know what? I really love that song. Like in terms of the musicality of it, maybe it's not my favorite of theirs, but the lyrics are fantastic. And there was this great comment the other day that I like read, whether it from one of their interviews, because I just can't be
Mm.
fucked keeping up with all the interviews they put out. But one of
Yep.
them was like they were talking about fake love, and then they were talking about, oh, we really wanted to write a song about how we were feeling at that point when we were at this massive Billboard awards and all these new fans coming in and stuff. And like the song is literally just like, I'm so fucking exhausted acting like this puppet that you want me to act like, and I hate it, and this
Mm.
love is fake. And then Army's just whoosh,
Yeah. Right over their
completely
heads.
dead.
Yes.
Absolutely. Just like Pied Piper was as well, because, they're all a pack of morons. But, the second they release a song like Dynamite, they're suddenly acting like, this is so woke. Shining through the city like a little funkin' soul, and um that's really gonna uplift everyone during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Anyway,
Next question. This is kind of related to the one from before. Can fapping to K-pop replace porn?
um, again, it depends on who your voyeur is, because like if they're after the tease, not please, then absolutely.
I guess you could.
But
Why not?
if you're if you're like a person who wants to see the goods, then it's highly unlikely, unless of course you're a fan of honey popcorn.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that pays a bit more dividends than most K-pop idol
Good for her.
interests.
Um, yeah, yeah, by all means, I support that. I support women who choose to engage in sex work. That is their choices. Um, the only thing that I will comment negatively about in this regard is there's a lot of accounts going around with like deep fakes, and I find that's like really violating personally
Mm,
when I come across that, because it's just they're not consenting to that, and the images are obviously very graphic or
mm.
very realistic, and I just don't think it's right to do that to someone without their consent, explicit consent. So just because someone is in the pardon me, just because someone is in the public eye doesn't mean you have like 100% ownership of their body. So everything it should be consensual. That's all I'm really got to say on that.
Yeah, I mean, deep fakes, I don't know, I find it just kind of strange. I mean, is it an issue of consent? Probably, but at the same time, people know it's fake as well, so it's not like people know that I mean, no one who looks at, I don't know, Jenny deepfakes or whatever, I think she's probably the most popular one for some reason.
Yeah,
Um,
poor thing.
I don't think anyone who's looking at that stuff really thinks it's actually real. And,
Yeah.
you know,
But I feel like if she were to, I hope to God she never finds out about this kind of stuff. But I
oh,
feel like if she were to ever come across it, it would just be like such a violating feeling. So,
yeah, but then how do you put the genie like that back in the bottle? I mean, that's something that's always
mm,
going to be there. Now that the technology's there,
now that, yeah,
it's never going to go away. Um, I mean, and it might even lead to some other things. Like, I mean, maybe in the future, if someone has something like the Geon webcam scandal, they might be able to get out of it by saying, "Oh, actually, it's a deep fake."
yeah, that's such a weird thing that happened in terms of the Gion webcam. Like, she was literally a child.
Yeah, and
Like, she was, what,
that was
12
creepy
or
as fuck.
13.
All these netizens are spreading it like they were the morally superior ones, and
Like,
basically
you're
spreading child
spreading
porn.
child porn. It's like, what is wrong with you sick fucks?
Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, the deepfakes might get so good that that might actually become a legitimate excuse.
Mm.
Anyway, let's move on. Um, as far as fapping replacing K porn for me, I suppose I should answer the question. No. Next.
Next.
um, your thoughts? Oh, hang on. It's a link. It's a link to my own curious cat actually. So I don't know what it is yet. I've just got to flick it over to you. And the question that we have is, what are our thoughts on them being mad?
Okay, what's our question? We are linking, we are opening, we are loading. I can see you've got a new ASPA header.
Yeah.
There are two retired porn actresses who became
No,
famous.
the one above.
Okay. Um, please do a podcast with someone else this time, someone interesting. Um, Go ahead. Like the fact that you interview me doesn't prevent you from interviewing anyone else. So like you've done other interviews with heaps of other people too. Like
Yeah,
you
I
had
know.
that interview. So it's like, why are you clicking on the podcasts that have me in it and then complaining about me being in it if you know that you do not like me and my answers? So it's like you're the one who's like subjecting yourself to this.
Yeah,
It's really that simple.
it's a bit silly. It's the same mystification that I get when people complain about my writing in general. It's just like, well, you don't have to be here, and
Bitch, you ain't paying either of us, so like why would
yeah,
we listen to you?
and my content's like really really easy to avoid if you don't want to be exposed to it. It's not like I'm going out there pushing myself into every fucking corner of the K-pop world. You
Same
know,
deal.
so
It's like,
and
someone
you got a
interested.
private Twitter, so
It's like I'm on private as fuck. I'm minding my own business. And like we're friends. So it's just like two friends having a chat and whoever wants to like eavesdrop can
mm,
chime in. It's like,
yeah.
okay.
But look, if anyone else wants to do these with me, if you're out there doing something in, if you got a website or you got a thing happening and you want to have a chat to me like this, then yeah, I'm all for it. Just hit me up, send me an
Yeah,
email, we'll sort it out. I'm,
exactly. Like, you
you know,
should whoever sent the curious cat, get in touch with Kpopalypse and then see
yeah,
how interesting you are on a podcast and how well you do.
I'd do it too. I'm serious. So,
Mhm.
yeah, bring it on. Um,
Cool beans.
next, uh, what's so bad about the song Dynamite?
Ugh. Everything. The auto tune is horrific. The lyrics are atrocious. Literally, like, shoes on, wake up in the morn, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. What the fuck is that? Um, yeah, then the mixing is awful. The fact that it was written by two white people and BTS have literally zero creative input in it is just something that I despise because of the fact that they've spent their whole career building themselves up on how authentic they are and how we're not going to sing in English because we don't want to sell out to the Western market, which in turn was used by their fan base to act xenophobic as fuck to virtually every other Korean artist who dared release an English single because that made them sellouts. But now that BTS do it, it's okay. And like however fuck it they're onto their 11th remix of the song for the fandom to keep bulk buying on four different music platforms. There's iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, Tidal, I think is the other one, or Amazon Prime. I know there's or Google is, yeah, so there's like four of them. Then they use the Twitter account at Bangtan Funds to fundraise the money via PayPal donations from fans all over the world so that they can deliver those funds to fans in America to then bulk buy the same song. What's 4 times 11? 44 times each and inflate them on the charts. And then big hit acts like they're this big crossover successful general public smash hit when it's literally the fandom entirely manipulating the charts ever since the song dropped.
Mm,
So, yeah, I just think it's this big load of shit compared to everything that this group was supposed to represent, which we all knew was a long time coming with how fake they've been becoming ever since they ironically dropped Fake Love. But this is just like the painting a turd silver or gold,
mm,
and then yeah, you can polish a turd, but it's still a turd. So that's essentially
yeah,
what this song is.
yeah. My feelings on Dynamite is much the same as my feelings on most BTS tracks. Is that I didn't really find like it comes on at the gym where I work out now, and
Yeah.
I don't even notice it.
Mm,
It just blends in all the other shit songs from like the Chainsmokers and
mm.
losers like that. So it's just another bland background music, and
I mean, there's a moment where I don't hate it, and that's at work when it occasionally, I think I've heard it once or twice on the radio, and then one of
Mm,
my coworkers starts whistling it afterwards because he tends to whistle the music, and I'm like, oh, that's sweet. It's nice that they're having some sort of breakthrough moment with people who aren't in the fandom because I do feel
mm,
that that is something that they deserve, but not with that song. And then if you look at their last song that came out, Life Goes On, I didn't hate it. I didn't particularly like it either. It's just, again, non-offensive background music that I'm like, yeah, it's all right. So I'll pop it on in the background. But it
I actually
charts,
think Life Goes On is a much worse song than Dynamite.
eh, perspective, opinions, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like, it charts number one because the fandom bulk buys it, falls
Mm,
down to like 20 something, and now it's entirely off the charts within 2 weeks. So it makes it blatantly obvious how much the fandom does manipulate the charts to
mm,
keep them there. And also how much Big Hit are willing to do as a company to promote things that are done by white people working for BTS who they don't have to pay royalties to versus how much they're willing to actually do for the BTS members themselves when they create their own work. And it's such a stark difference. And I guess it really infuriates me that, again, as always, that the fandom continues to blindly defend this company and the CEO is Papa Bang and they love them so much. They're so happy here. Big hit best company ever. And it's just baffling. I've never seen people who are like so hell bent on defending $1 billion corporation. It's like the epitome of bootlickers. At least with SM stands, they fucking hate Lee Soo-man. At least with the majority of YG fans, artists of like what fans of artists under YG, at least Blackpink, they fucking hate YG.
mm.
Although yes, I do know there's like a sick group who are like Sungri innocent, YG innocent, but they're a fringe.
They're a
They're not.
minority. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a fringe that everyone else looks at like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Whereas in BTS land, they're the vast majority of accounts. So
Mm.
it's like, y'all are fucked. And honestly, at this point, I'm also a bit like, BTS are dumb as fuck for re-signing with the company. So you really get what you deserve in that regard anyway. So, yeah, next.
If you had to cast a production of Shakespeare's Othello using only K-pop girl group members, who would you cast and why?
You got me on the wrong one, mate, because like the only Shakespeare that I know is pretty much Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, I don't, I'm going to pass on it as well. I'm not familiar with the plot of Othello, so let's just skip it. Yeah,
Like the
I,
name's familiar, but I don't know enough to like know the plot.
yeah. I think this person's assuming that I'm a bit
You
more
are
well-read.
falsely, yeah, you are falsely assuming how cultured we are.
Yeah, I'm not that.
But we're flattered that you think of us so highly.
Yeah, I'm not that old, guys. Next, have you ever have you ever suffered from narcolepsy like Injong from Tiara did?
Wait, have we ever suffered from narcolepsy like Tiara did in what?
Like, well, really, the question is just have you ever suffered from narcolepsy?
Weird. I don't. How do I put it? Yes and no. Like, I feel like I have a very, very weird sleeping pattern for anyone who does know me. It's like I I have a very low iron level, so potentially, I don't know, borderline anemic, which does lead to me being very, very tired. But I've never, like, fallen asleep at the wheel, so thankfully I'm safe to drive. But there are days where I can sleep for 18 hours. And if I do a long load of, if I have to go to work, I have to go to work. And narcolepsy be damned, I need to earn money to survive in this world,
Mm,
yay, being poor. So it's like I remember there were days at work where I was feeling like I was going to pass out and I kind of just had to sit down and like, I just eat a shitload of sugar whenever that kind of feeling happens to get the sugar boost and then I'll crash when I get home
mm,
and then I'll sleep for hours. So kind of yes, kind of no. I remember like one time I was studying at uni and I went into the library to take a nap and then I wound up sleeping for 6 hours. So I don't know. I don't think that really classifies as narcolepsy, but I have like put at times when I've been in one of my really severe episodes with my sleep schedule fucking up, Googled it to see if I have it, but and then there's like the complete polar opposite where I need sleeping tablets to get to sleep because it's like I am so dead exhausted, but it will be 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and I just haven't been able to fall asleep, even though I've just been lying in bed in darkness for hours. And I'm so, so tired and my eyes are closed, but the head just does not switch off to allow me to sleep. So my sleeping pattern is a nightmare, but yay, clinical depression.
mm. Yeah, my sleeping patterns are pretty good. So sorry, that's kind of boring
Ugh,
answer.
mocking me like that. How dare you? Anyway, moving on.
Yes, next one. I've sent you a link. And the question is, um, does this look suit her? And this is Ewa from Oh My Girl doing Bon Voyage in a live show.
Does this look super?
No, does this look suit her? As in,
Oh, does
does she
this
look
look
good?
super? I mean, she's always going to look pretty because she is pretty. Um, so it's not like it doesn't suit. I mean, if I'm looking at her right now, I've get very in this clip. It reminds me a lot of Sully from Goblin.
Mm. Yeah, I
Um,
think it's maybe the makeup, but yeah, I'm not really a big fan of the white dress to be honest.
I like the
Um,
dress. I just think the length isn't flattering. It's like if you're going to go a long dress, then make it go all the way to the ground or end it above, like right around the knee. This is like an awkward shin length.
she looks like a bowling pin.
It's the length of the dress to me.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. She looks best in closer, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's a look that really suited her, and that's the video that really got her in front of I think a lot of advertisers and shit like that too. She started picking up endorsements and stuff pretty much straight after that
I
came
mean,
out.
personally, ever since their debut era with Cupid, I thought she was stunning. And I feel like if she had have been a member of like, a big three girl group, then she would
Mm,
have been one of the most like hyped up visuals in K-pop. So yeah, I've always seen her as being a stunning girl.
yeah. Next question: do you
Okay.
think that the song Monster Mash is better than most Christmas songs?
Absolutely. Never
Um,
gets old.
yeah, I'd agree with that actually. I'm not really a fan of it, but compared to Christmas songs, hell yeah. Next,
Yep.
your thoughts on this controversy, and I'll send you.
Side note, obligatory comment about the Monster Mash not actually being a song of a Monster Mash. It's a song about a Monster Mash, not the Monster Mash itself.
Right,
Yep. Next.
next, I've sent you a link, and the question is, um, hang on, I'll find the question. Your thoughts on this controversy? There is another K-pop China controversy, this time about virtual character Seraphine, who joined KDA for their latest single. Some South Korean fans are upset that a new character singing in Chinese is the center of in a group heavily associated with K-pop.
The Seraphine controversy that I'm aware of is the fact that the character was supposedly based off someone that one of the developers was dating without her consent. So I didn't even know there was another controversy.
There's a few with
Apparently she's like really hated by some of the people in the fandom as well,
mm,
like the League of Legends. I don't know. I really don't keep up to date with it. And to be honest, I found the KDA comeback was a bit underwhelming compared to how fucking great Popstars was. Popstars was like my song of 2018. So
mm,
they set such a high standard with that single. I knew they weren't going to be able to deliver no matter what the album was. So I couldn't help but still be disappointed by it.
mm. I mean, there's I do know a fair bit about the whole Seraphine stuff. I didn't know about the whole someone he was dating. I just thought it was based on Belle Delphine actually.
Yeah.
Because that,
Apparently it was her, but it was yeah, someone else.
mm,
Like if I ever find it, I'll link it if I can be bothered.
yeah. Um, but I thought, I mean, a lot of people don't like the character and they don't like the character in the game and how she plays and all. There's like a million different reasons why people hate this Seraphine chick, right? Um, a lot of them revolving around how she's kind of a 2.0 version of another character in League of Legends called Sona. But
Mm.
anyway, I won't go too much into that because it's kind of boring. But just to answer the question about that specific controversy, I think it's just kind of racist because, I mean, no one complains when there's a whole bunch of English in K-pop, but they complain about there's a whole bunch of Chinese in K-pop. So it's like, what the
Mm.
fuck? I mean, I get that they don't like China for whatever reason, but it just seems a bit over the top to me.
I mean, it's just like I'm sure that like English countries have colonized them much more than what, well, not much more, but just as much as what China has as well. So,
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's plenty more English intervention in South Korea, or maybe there isn't. I don't fucking know, but
well, they've got army bases. So,
yeah. So I think that's the main intervention happening at the moment. Um, so yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Next,
Yep, let's move on. Sounds good.
trying to keep it under 2 hours.
Yeah. Please rate the KDA virtual avatars, not the in-real-life singers, by how fast they'd likely kill someone via face sitting. Also, please explain your choices. Thanks.
Okay, I need a visual. Like, I only know KDA music-wise. I don't actually know who's who in the group. I just think that the one with the blonde hair and the pink tips at the end, I'm like, I want to do that with my hair at one stage.
Um, okay,
Who
well,
got the fat thighs? Let's see. I don't know who's who though, so I can't even really answer this question properly. If I get the first image, uh,
I know who the characters are all based on, so I'll just give you a run.
yeah, I'll let you answer this one because I don't know.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so a quick rundown of KDA's the actual characters in the game. Um, so you've got Ari, which is a Gumiho, so the nine-tailed fox,
Mm.
who seduces people, and that's like her main ability in the game. Is her iconic
Yeah, she's
ability
the one that I like.
is yep, okay. There's Evelyn, which is like a sort of a stealthy assassin that hides in the shadows and then springs out and kills you and then fucks off.
Cool.
Um, there's Akali, which is sort of like a female ninja that drops smoke clouds and it's a similar sort of concept to Evelyn actually. And the other one is Kaiser, who's sort of like this. I'm not even quite sure what she is exactly. Sort of like a futuristic sort of. Um, uh, she's got these sort of very close range submachine gun type abilities, which sort of zaps you with rapid fire hits and stuff like that. Um, so I don't know what any of that's got to do with face sitting though. So
Mm. Kind of like, I guess, the same question they asked us about Blackpink that time about who's more likely to suffocate based on like thighs.
I don't know what to some. There's obviously someone asking us questions who's got a big face sitting fetish, but
Yeah.
but to be honest, I'm not really into it.
Well,
I
they're all pixels anyway, so it'd be a
yeah
bit difficult.
yeah it doesn't really work. And they don't exactly have big old hips and thighs anyway, so it just
Yeah.
seems like a sub. They all seem like suboptimal choices if that's your
Mm-hmm.
fetish.
Mm.
Let's move on.
Yes.
Um, oh oh now we got kiss, marry, hug, not fuck, marry, kill. That's pretty
Oh,
amazing.
wholesome alternative.
Yeah. So the three choices you might wish this was fuck, marry, kill though. The three choices are Trump, Ollie London, and Kim Jong Un.
All right, well, I'm killing Trump immediately. Hug Kim Jong-un just to, hope that good hug gets him over his daddy issues. And I guess I'm smooching the white Jimin.
um, Gee, what do I choose? I don't know. I think I'd marry Trump just so I can divorce him the next day, get the settlement.
Rich.
Because I don't think marrying the other two would really
Yeah, you're
have much
thinking with
cash.
your head there. Good
Um,
point.
so as for the other ones,
Yeah, if I married Trump, then I can kill him in his sleep.
yeah, you think of all the possibilities, right? Once he's
Exactly.
signed over half his wealth to you.
Exactly. No
So
prenups allowed.
yeah. So what about the other two? Got a hug one and got a kiss one. Well, that's kind of the same thing. I'd probably kiss Ollie London just because I could then document, um, because people would probably ask me what his face felt like to kiss and
Yeah, good
how
point.
much plastic surgery there was and what's it like to kiss someone who's had 14 plastic surgeries to look like Jimin. Do the lips feel different?
Hmm.
I'd be able to answer that question. So
You could write a blog on it.
I would too. And Kim Jong Un, I would just give him a hug. Fuck it.
Hmm.
He's cuddly kind of dude.
Yeah, he does look a bit pudgy.
All right, next one. Uh, would you rather never listen to K-pop again or never listen to any other genre of music?
I can live without K-pop. I really can.
Yeah, I'd probably pick scrap and K-pop as well, to be honest. I mean, there are good songs, but
Well, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I love
mm,
my faves, but the
mm,
reality is K-pop is the one that borrows from the other genres far more than what other genres borrow from K-pop. So anything that K-pop is really doing is just doing what everyone else has already done before, just in other language. And as much
yeah,
as I do enjoy the Korean language, I think I'll stick to the original sources.
yeah. I mean, everything is yeah, that's true. I mean, everything in K-pop's derivative of something, so you can find it somewhere else.
Exactly.
And it might not be quite as polished and or might not look as good on the video, but you can still basically find the same thing.
I
Um,
really don't have time to watch music videos much these days anyway, so I'm not missing too much in that regard.
Next one, Ollie London question again. Do you find
Oh,
Ollie London sexy?
no.
Doesn't. How close do you reckon he got to Jimin?
Well, that's a different question entirely
It
because
is.
I like
That's my question.
okay, like obvious. There's like I can. It's weird. It's like
Out of 10.
almost like someone tried to draw Jimin from memory.
Yep.
So you can see, like, I get what you're trying to do there, but the execution, it's just not there, buddy.
People who go in for a lot of plastic surgery, they all tend to sort of go towards the same look. In no matter what they're trying to look like, they all have
Yeah,
that weird sort
yeah,
of.
this is the biggest flaw in terms of a lot of people who do the plastic surgery, especially if you're trying, like, in Ollie's case, um, you can't just reconstruct your entire face.
Hmm,
Like, the reason that plastic surgery in Korea or K-pop looks so good is because of how subtle it is. It's all about emphasizing features and just making them look better. It's like making your best self even better, I
hmm,
guess. Whereas if you're getting plastic surgery to completely alter yourself, it is so blatantly obvious that it has been fake, that it has been done. It's just the medicine is just not at that point
yeah,
to, you know, alter jawbone structure. Although, granted, Koreans do that too, but
even then
yeah.
it's different. But yeah, all plastic surgery like in the West, they all have that weird sort of peeled back look with
Yeah, it's weird. And
where their
like the
lips like they're
women with
sort
the
of
sausage lips
yeah,
thick
yeah,
and nuts. I'm like, no,
yeah.
not a fan.
No.
Do what you want with your own money, and more power to you. I love those girls who are like super the cock destroyers. Like, and then they're yeah,
I
I
got
love them.
introduced to them today. I chose
Oh, really? Only today? I think they're brilliant.
today.
I've like my friend retweets them a lot onto my feed, and you know what? They're obviously an example of over the top bimbo plastic surgery. But good on you if
Mm,
you want to do that. Go for your life. More
mm.
power to you. It's not something I do for my own body, your choice.
I introduced my girlfriend today to the cock destroyer. She thought it was great.
Yeah.
Um, worst K-pop song you've ever heard?
Ugh.
I know what I'm gonna
Is it the
say.
Girls' Day debut?
Nah, for me it's that it's a little sigh. Showtime.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Still, I don't think anything's beaten that yet.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I want to be like edgy and say dynamite for the shits and giggles, like it's just bad, but it's bad because of like context for me.
Mm,
Whereas if I heard that song in passing, it would really just be background noise. But for
mm.
terms of like bad, yeah, that's it's really hard to kind of pull one out from example. Like Little Sigh,
That
obviously.
that's why I have a list.
Yeah, I need to make a real list on that because there's definitely songs that I know that are like nails down a chalkboard, but weirdly, if you put me on the spot, I can't think of it on the top of my head.
Well, it's a painful process to make a list, so I must say. Um,
I don't know, Make It Right is pretty fucking awful. That's the song that Ed Sheeran wrote for BTS.
all right, okay, I didn't know that one. I'll just be grateful, I guess.
It's a B-side, and I know you don't usually look into those that much.
Mhm. Um, let's move on. How? Oh, it's a Star Wars question.
Oh,
How
yay.
how do you think each of these people would run a K-pop idol agency as CEO, and do you think their idol groups would be successful?
I'm hearing Darth Vader is one of them.
No, we've got
Aw.
Jar Jar Binks, of course. We've got Emperor Palpatine,
Ooh,
and we've got Qui-Gon Jinn, which is
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon Jinn, which is Liam Neeson's character, which I don't even know that character, so because I
Uh,
haven't seen the Star Wars with him in it.
well, for starters, I would say that Darth Vader would probably run the greatest K-pop empire if he did, because he's the one who made the stormtroopers. So he's all set for. So he's got his own K-pop agency. That's what the Death Star is. It's really a K-pop recruiting company. Um, Palpatine, I guess, kind of fits under that Darth Vader umbrella. So really, that makes him the. I mean, Palpatine, Evil Empire, SM. There's parallels. Jar Jar Binks would be just like an absolute shit post. I think he'd be like Size Company, I guess. And then who is the other one? Qui-Gon Jinn. Well intentioned, but would flop ultimately. Like he'd be the one who comes along and says, "I'm gonna make K-pop authentic and wholesome, and I'm gonna go against the grain and I'm going to give my idols workers' rights, but then they just tank because they don't play by the industry rules, and ultimately capitalism always wins in that situation.
Um, I can't even answer this one because I only know Emperor Palpatine, so
Yeah,
I'll just pass. Because
yeah.
aren't they all
That's
like Emperor Palpatine in some way or another?
fine. Aren't we all the same in the end?
Another very similar question. What K-pop girl groups would you recommend to each of these people and why? Bride of Frankenstein's Monster, Professor Abraham Van Helsing, Imhotep the Mummy, and Michael J. Fox's Teen Wolf. Just
Michael J.
random ass
Fox's
questions.
Teen Wolf. Well, I would recommend EXO to Michael J. Fox's Teen Wolf.
It's
Cougar Wolf.
obvious one, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Who else have we got? Frankenstein's Monster. Well, they also
They had a
get
song called Monster, didn't
EXO.
they?
Yeah. Creeping in your heart, babe. Uh, or Big Bang. I love you, baby. I'm not a
Monster.
monster. And then who else have we got? The Mummy.
Hmm.
You might tap the Mummy. Oh, Momoland, because they did that cultural appropriation music video and that featured Egypt.
Could do. Um,
The Bam. There we go, that one. So Emo Sepkin of Momoland for Bam. And what was the other one? Van Helsing.
yeah.
Who had the vampire concept?
Oh, there's
Eyes
like
One.
about
Eyes One.
five different groups that didn't have
Eyes
it.
One.
Yeah.
Eyes One can have oh yeah, Eyes One because they had the song Vampire, or FX because they have the song Dracula.
Cool. That's good enough for me. It's like it's just a basic question, really.
Yeah, good enough. I know. I'm feeling pretty stupid today. I can't think of witty things off the top of my head. I apologize.
Um, this is fuck, marry, kill, but it doesn't really make much sense.
Hmm.
Fuck, marry, kill. Ebook, audio book, or paper book.
Okay.
Why not just ask which one we like more? That's easier. Makes more
Yeah,
sense.
it's a bit hard to like fuck a digital book. Like I'm gonna fuck a PDF today.
Mm,
Um, let's see. Audiobooks I just don't listen to because when I read, I have a very vivid imagination. So I like forming the picture in my mind, and I do that from reading. I don't do it from listening.
mm.
So I don't vibe to the audiobook. So I guess kill. Um, marry or I mean, I love the smell. I'm one of those annoying people who like the smell of books. I love the feel of a book in my hand,
Mm,
but I'm all for the sustainability of ebooks.
mm.
Like, save paper, save the planet, that good stuff. So I'm pretty much on this like I'm there's pros for both of them. I only really buy physical books for books that I genuinely love these days,
Mm.
and then I'll read the rest on an ebook just to save space because my room has got so much stuff in it. I can't afford to keep buying more books.
Yep. Yeah, I would just go with a paper book every time because, um, I because I look at screens like at
Mm.
my job now. I look at screens when I'm doing my writing.
I'm
I'm
like,
just
wait, you have a job?
yeah, amazing. I know. Yeah, I'm just always looking at screens all the fucking time. So when I want to read something for me, I want to stop looking at screens. I don't want to look at another fucking screen.
Got
So
you.
I just want to give my eyes a break from that shit.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
that's the main reason why I go paper. So I don't even own a ebook reader, and
I mean, if you've got an iPad, you've got an ebook reader. If you've got a mobile phone, you've got an ebook
I
reader.
guess I mean you can just download a PDF and read it, and that's like an ebook too. But
It is.
and in a couple cases I've done that when I just couldn't be fucked going out and getting the thing. But really, if I've
Yep.
got a choice, paper book always.
Yeah.
Next, which character do you dislike more and why? C3PO in the original trilogy versus Jar Jar Binks in the prequel trilogy.
I think CP3. Fuck. Yeah, I don't like that one just because of his name. Can't fucking say it. No, C3PO. He was always a bit of a cunt, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't.
He's always a bit of a prick.
Once again, I haven't seen Jar Jar. I find these Jar Jar questions that we get each time really boring because
Because yeah,
I just haven't seen him, so I got no
yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
they're trying to force you to watch The Phantom Menace.
no, it's not going to work. It's just going to force me to continue to not watch The Phantom Menace so I can continue to opt out of these questions. Um, but I will admit C3PO is definitely the most annoying character in the Star Wars trilogy. He is a bit of a cunt face. Um, more Force, fucking hell. What's with all the Star Wars shit? It's not fucking Star Wars apocalypse. What the fuck?
Star
Star
apocalypse.
Apocalypse. Um, how do you think that Kylo Ren from the Force Awakens period specifically would fare as somebody's husband? How long do you think their marriage would last?
Well, he'd probably end up like force killing them or force choking them to death.
Which one's Kylo Ren? Is
Adam
that
Driver.
but what character is Kylo Ren? What does Kylo Ren do?
Oh,
This
he's like a daddy issues. He's like the epitome of like those Star Wars fanboy nerds who are, or like,
oh,
those really misogynistic kind of.
is he the new Vader? The
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the
but he's just
emo
like,
Vader?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. I know who you're talking about now. See, this is how little I give a shit. I can't even
Mm.
put the name to the character.
To be honest, I almost envy you because like I had such high hopes after The Force Awakens, and then the last two movies were just such a catastrophic fuck up of all the potential that they gave you in the first
Mm,
movie. It's like Game of Thrones again. I just wish I didn't even bother.
mm. Well, I won't bother. Let's move on to the next question.
Exactly. It's
Um,
like, see, that's what not bothering gets you.
yeah.
Peace.
All right, back to K-pop. If you lived
Cool.
next to the door to these people, what sort of neighbor do you think they'd be?
Mm.
Bang Si-hyuk, Sungri, JY Park, and Asian Junkie.
Bang Shi-hyuk. Well, I don't know. I'd probably be setting like booby traps outside of his apartment to try and just like get rid of him so I can free Taeyong. Who else have we got there? JY. Oh, Sungri would be like, I don't know. I'd be calling the cops on him and trying to get him arrested. I'd be framing him for something. Um, JYP cult member.
Hmm.
What's the other one?
Asian Junkie.
Asian Jockey. Buddies!
What do I think about this one? Banks Banksy Hook's got a real used car salesman vibe to me.
He
He's he's
does.
got that.
He is
Yeah, I
shifty as fuck.
have I got a deal for you? Sort of vibe.
He is like a con man. I swear to
Yeah.
God. I'm waiting for him to get caught and go to jail. It'll happen.
Um.
It'll happen.
Um. Sungri. Well, he's. Oh, look, I wrote stuff like 5 years ago saying this dude's, a creepy dude
Hmm.
who
Hmm.
just fuck anything that moves.
Mm.
And sure
Lock
enough,
your door
he
at
got
night.
busted. So, doing all sorts of crazy shit. So, yeah, I had his number years ago. So,
Mm.
yeah, he's a sleazy dude. Um, JY Park, I don't know. He'd probably,
He'd
um,
try to recruit you for his cult.
yeah, maybe. He'd be overly friendly. He'd come around and,
Mm.
you
He'd
know,
be like Ned Flanders.
yeah, he'd invite you his backyard barbecue and shit.
Go along just so you can see Chico, hopefully.
Yeah, it'd get annoying though. It wouldn't be worth it.
Mm.
Asian
Mm.
Junkie, I think, would be very reclusive
He is. And
because,
that's why we'd get along. You
yeah, because he's like
don't
that
bother me, I
generally.
don't bother you.
I mean, I don't even, I've never even seen him. Well, actually, I think I have seen him. Someone,
I've seen like one picture.
I've seen a picture, and I'm pretty sure it's him. Because someone took some photos of a Dreamcatcher fan meet with I know he was at, and I just look at all those. Just saw all the people there, and I thought, yeah, he's that guy. Um,
Mm.
I'm not gonna share because I know he likes his
Yeah,
privacy, so that's all
privacy.
fine. But yeah, he's a very reclusive sort of dude, obviously, and yeah, that's fine. Um,
Makes for a good neighbor.
yeah, at least he minds his own fucking business. This is
Exactly.
definitely an asset. Um, all right, next one's got a link, and the
Ugh, now I have to sit up again.
the the question is, um, do you think he was on drugs when he shot this video?
I don't know what the video even is yet, and I'm just going to say yes.
That's good enough for me, honestly. Um,
Ew, it's Sungray. I'm not even going to watch.
I'm gonna watch it. He's just talking to,
안녕하세요. Sungray. I don't care.
and he's just talking about some shit,
No promo for sex offenders.
and he's opened some box full of fuck knows what it is. I don't even know. And I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, next.
Next. Uh, hang on. It was so my question box was so horrified by Sungri it didn't even want to move to the next question. Let's move on.
Mm.
You're in charge of a remake of Romper Stomper starring only K-pop girl group members.
I don't fucking know what this
Yeah,
is.
you don't know what Romper Stomper is?
No, I don't.
Oh, it's an Australian film about neo-Nazis.
Oh,
It's Russell Crowe's breakout film.
gotcha.
Yeah. Um,
Vaguely rings a bell, but I
yeah.
haven't seen it.
And it is actually a really good film too.
Hmm.
Highly recommend it.
Well, I guess in my contribution, I will offer an alternative film that I enjoyed recently called Green Room.
Mhm,
And it's like a horror film set where a band goes to play at a show and then they find out that it's actually a neo-Nazi um, like pub, and then they witness a murder,
mm,
and then they have to try and escape because they want to kill them for witnessing the murder. Good film.
okay, cool. Um,
Anyway, this one's all yours.
yeah, I guess it is, isn't it? Now it's tough though because I don't really remember any of the characters in Romper Stomper because it was probably about 20 years ago when I saw it last. It's not like
Who's Russell Crowe and who's a Nazi?
Russell Crowe's a Nazi.
Oh, there we go.
So who would I don't know? Wendy Red Velvet. She wouldn't have
Cop out.
she wouldn't have to act too much. Maybe someone from Mamamoo. Um,
The usual cop out answers for
the,
these questions.
yeah, just the usual gang. Um, but but then they don't really look the part. You really want someone who kind of also encapsulates some of the because Russell Crowe's character and it's quite terrifying. Is quite intimidating kind of dude. So I'm just trying to think who in K-pop would be able to bring that intimidating vibe necessary for the role of playing this sort of neo-Nazi gang leader or whatever. Maybe Boa. She might be a good pick
Hmm.
because she sort of commands a bit of authority
That
in her.
bitch. And I mean that in a good way. She is that bitch.
You know,
Queen shit. But like, not Nazi wise.
I could see her, getting a whole bunch of people to stomp someone out with
Hmm.
boots. But yeah, we'll move on. Oh my God, here's a big question. Um,
Fuck.
Actor Robert Pattinson has been refusing to bulk up his muscles for his role as Batman in the
Good
upcoming
for him.
movie. Do you think his excuses are valid, or do you think he's emitting Huayang energy? I mean, here's a quote from an article. I won't link you the article, but I'll just read the quote out.
Hmm.
Thanks for including the quote, by the way, along with the article. That means we don't have to click the link, which is fantastic.
We
Um,
love you.
yeah, very good. Good question. So, from the article, despite being given a meal guide and a workout plan, the exercises he's been asked to do during isolation have been thrown to the wayside. Speaking to GQ from his London home, the 34-year-old said, I think if you're working out all the time, you're part of the problem. You set a precedent. No one was doing this in the 70s. Even James Dean, he wasn't exactly ripped. His personal trainer, given to him by Warner Brothers Studios, gave Robert a Bosu ball and a weight to do some exercises, but he admits he's barely doing anything. He also admitted that during his twilight days there was an enormous pressure on him to have a certain type of body. That pressure was only compounded, indirectly albeit, when he faced off against his on-screen rival, Taylor Lautner, who was absolutely shredded for the franchise. Patterson said, "The one time they told me to take my shirt off, I think they told me to put it back on again." He
Hmm.
he's still sticking to his meal plan, which includes oatmeal with vanilla protein powder as well as tuna with Tabasco.
I mean, like, I acting is acting.
Hmm.
So I honestly don't care that much about physique
There's
if
CGI these days. They can
exactly like, there's I
computerize
feel
some
like
abs in there if they
and it's
want.
just like how many shirtless scenes is Batman having? And I'm like saying this envisioning Batman in the Bat costume.
Mm,
It's like you look at Adam West, how like he wasn't exactly the epitome of buff when he was filming Batman.
mm,
Like I don't know, it's never really been a major factor for me. So I mean, the other thing is like the guy as in the character is a billionaire
mm,
as well. So billionaires are rich, obviously, and Bruce Wayne as the character of Batman. I guess that like in the Christopher Nolan films at least he did his training with like in the mountains and he became a fighter and shit as well. But if I think of Batman as opposed to more typical superheroes like what's his name? Superman
mm,
or Thor, Batman is more like
A bat.
Iron Man in terms of they rely on the technology that they have the funding and the
Mm.
brain power to create rather than their physique, although Batman is probably a bit more physically strong than Tony Stark. But it's just, eh, I don't,
Yeah, I'd agree.
eh.
It's not really necessary for the role. I mean, I think it's just a trend, and I mean, I'm all for working out and being fit and stuff like that for
Mhm,
just for health reasons. I mean, it's a good idea,
exactly.
but you know, but when it comes to doing it just for appearance, I think it's a bit of a wank.
Well,
And
also you got to look at like the other actors who have gone, in the deep end for their film roles and gotten super buff or
mm,
super physically, like, physically into getting into their character. Like Christian Bale lost a shit ton of weight for one film that he was in, and it's just like they, I guess they're doing it for the authenticity of the craft or whatever, but it's really just like a bit of a pretentious wank when there are other ways to portray the character without going to that extreme.
yeah, I mean, they certainly they're certain
Method acting or whatever.
they're able to like bust up women who've got small breasts, so they can staple some abs onto a dude. Surely it's not that hard.
Yeah, but
So.
who cares?
So I'm with Robert. I'm cool with that.
Hmm.
Next, what would you rather buy and why? PS5 or Xbox Series X?
Neither, because I'd rather have that money.
Yeah, neither. I play games on PC. I don't give a fuck about consoles. I don't want
I
another.
don't even have time for gaming. Like
Mm,
I've got a bunch of shit that I'm doing in my life. I'm working 2 jobs. I don't have time for additional hobbies on top of the hobbies that I already have.
yeah, I barely play games at the moment because I just don't have time either. And besides, yeah, fuck it. I don't want another electronic thing junking up my house I got to pay for
That
that'll be
space, the
obsolete
fact
in
that,
5 years
yeah,
anyway.
there's always another one. It's
Mm,
always obsolete. The games are fucking expensive as shit as well.
mm, yeah,
Pass. Like, if you're a gamer, that's cool. Do your thing. I spend a fuckload of money on tartars. So I am in no position to criticize anyone's hobbies and being too expensive. But that's my thing.
mm.
My thing is my tartars. I would be spending that money on an Xbox or
You don't
PS5
want to dip into your
on
Tata
tartar.
fund.
Exactly.
Mm.
If anybody's offering to buy me a PS5 or an Xbox, chuck it into the tartar fund, mate. Buy me tartars. We should have a link in this podcast or on your Kpopalypse blog and be like, for those who appreciate AustralianSana, donate to this link here to like donate to her tartar fund.
If
It's
anyone
like my
if
thing.
anyone signs up to my Patreon and just sends me a message saying this is Tata money,
Yeah.
I will actually give it to Australian Sana for that purpose.
Yay! Give me tartars. Give me tartars. Pay me in tartars.
Doesn't Banksy York get the money from the Tatars though? How does that work?
Shush. We ignore that aspect. I am allowed to have one shred of happiness in my life.
He's got Banksy York. He's got you by the balls with the
No, he doesn't.
Tatars.
No, he doesn't. Taehyung. It is Taehyung's
Will
creation.
you buy bootleg Tatars?
Never.
Well, but then you wouldn't be giving money to Banksy York.
Mm, I mean, I support people who need to buy bootleg tartars because official tartars are far too expensive. So
Mm,
I support the bootleg tartar market for that reason.
right. But you wouldn't buy a bootleg Tatar yourself. You'd buy the official Tatar
Yeah, I
and
have
give the
like all
money
of them.
to Banksy York.
Well, I buy them off other people who are
That
reselling.
Okay, okay. Ooh, I'll stop giving you a hard time now. Next question: your thoughts on the Batmobile from the Batwoman TV show? And I've got an image just in case you don't know what that looks like, because
I'm
I don't.
assuming this is the Adam West one.
Um, I don't know. Hang on. I
If it's
will.
from the 60s, it's the Adam West one.
I'll just flip you the link. Um, no,
Yes.
I don't know. That looks modern to
Yeah,
me.
I'm pretty sure that's the Adam West
It
one.
is. I don't
It's funny. It's camp.
know.
I love camp.
Yeah. I know that show, obviously, the Adam West Batman, but I just can't remember what the car looks like.
Actually, it's a little bit different to the Adam West one. So maybe it's a yeah. I'll link you the Adam West one. I mean, it's the same color scheme.
Hmm.
It's like orange and black, but the Adam West one has like these really cool, like the windows almost look like pods.
Right.
Let me get my video. We're getting distracted. I'm sending you links now.
Mm.
Look what you've done.
Spread the cancer.
Mm-hmm. Open image in new tab. Here I go. Copy link and paste. Just for the sake of this is what I'm sending, I'm saying the Adam West one is superior. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, okay. Oh yeah. Oh, it is. It looks much cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool as fuck. That
Yep.
that new Ferrari thing fucking
Mm-hmm.
can suck my dick. Let's move on.
Yep.
Thoughts on this recipe and would you try it? And there's two links. Yay. Um,
Mm.
fucking
Boo.
links.
Boo.
We don't want links.
The marinate 24 hours in Mountain Dew. That's a no from me.
It's not even a full. Oh, house is full of frozen chicken breasts. Yeah, nah,
It's a pass.
pass. I'm not even gonna click. I'm not even gonna do the second link. Fuck it.
Nah, I mean the first one is bad enough.
It's
You
a,
don't, nothing can redeem it.
if the first one's that bad, the second one's not gonna be any good. Let's move on.
Hmm.
Your thoughts on the 1997 Halloween party and a link once again.
I'm like, is this a film?
Um,
Pretty sure Scream was 1997. Alex Jones on public access TV.
it's like a video.
Yeah, it's a video of
Don't.
Alex Jones, who's the guy from InfoWars, and he's just stabbing a pumpkin.
I don't think I'm not gonna
Too
sit.
bad no accidents happened.
I'm not gonna sit here and watch a video for 2 minutes during this thing.
No,
We got. Don't have time for that
we are
shit.
already trying to keep this shit under 2 hours, people.
Don't
Work with us.
don't send us videos. We're not gonna watch them.
No.
Next one. If you woke up with a schlong attached to your body the size of a Pringles can, would your quality of life improve or become worse in your opinion? Didn't we have this question last time about big penises?
Yeah, it's just the same question, but rephrased.
It's just
Go listen to the last podcast,
yeah.
people.
Next. Which group do you think is better public image wise, TVXQ or JYJ?
TVXQ public image wise by a landslide.
Well, they've got the public image creators on their side, and they also don't have,
Of course.
you know,
Toilet
Mr.
Boy.
Toilet in their group. Bathroom
That's
man.
a pretty obvious one.
Yeah, that's easy.
Next.
Next. Um, oh, this is the same. This is about PS5 and Xbox again. I'm going to skip that one.
Next.
Next. Do you think that you could sing Gayen's High Note from Sixth Sense by Brown Eyed Girls?
Not in my bedroom right now at like this time of night without someone calling the fucking cops thinking someone's being murdered.
Yeah, I've got a very deep voice. My regular voice is even deeper when I sing, so I'm gonna pass on that.
Yeah, like I'm the equivalent of a baritone in female voice ranges. So
Mm. All right, here we go. Actress Amber Heard lied and said that her ex-husband Johnny Depp was abusive to her during their marriage. It
yes,
turns
fuck
out
her.
that she not only was lying, but she was in fact the abusive one in their
Yes,
relationship,
yes,
including
justice for Johnny Depp.
biting off his finger and blah 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 blah. Just and Depp recently lost his libel lawsuit against Rupert Murdoch owned tabloid
Yes,
newspaper, etc.
fucking rubbish.
And now he's been cancelled by Hollywood, who also seem to be propping up abuser Heard. Depp has been fired
Hmm.
from his role in Harry Potter spin-off series. His Pirates of the
Probably a good thing, really.
Caribbean characters being killed off on screen.
What?
Meanwhile, Heard reportedly still has her job as Mira in the Aquaman movies.
Ooh, there's a petition to try and get her fired.
How do you feel about all this? Why do you think that Hollywood is circling the wagons for Heard?
How do I feel about this? I've kind of been doing a running commentary as you've been
Yeah, we
answering,
know the first
asking
part
the
of the question.
question.
Yep.
Yes, so justice for Johnny Depp. And Hollywood, I guess, Hollywood by its very own nature is extremely performative. So they're kind of just doing a look, we're Me Too pro women. Look at how feminist we are by supporting the woman in this case. It's like, that's not how feminism fucking works, mate. You're supposed to, like, the thing about feminism is there's this stereotype of it that it's all about, misandry or misandry. That's the right word. I'm stupid tonight. I'm stupid always. But anyway, that it's like misandry and hating men and down with men. And I make those comments and I joke about them and all that shit. But the reality is feminism is equality between men and women. It is not about women being able to assault men and get away with it. In the case of Amber Heard, it is like, it's if we want progress as a collective society and humans, all abuse needs to be treated as horrendous in domestic abuse. Now, the reason that feminism often will speak about the abuse of women in relationships is because it just happens at a far higher rate and has a much more like a much higher death rate as well, in terms of like women killed per year in abusive marriages versus husbands. But the reality, of course, still here is that a man being killed or abused in an abusive relationship is still a bad thing. That doesn't mean that because men do it to women more, that women should now be trying to even the score by doing it to men in return. It's about it not happening to anyone.
Mm. Yeah, well, that's all good. Basically agree with that. And yeah, who knows? But yeah,
Yeah,
your theory is as good as anyone that I can come up with, so I'll just move
cool.
on. Um,
Next.
next, how to deal with burnout.
Ugh, my life is burnout. By crying on podcasts. Hyperfixating on other hobbies to distract from how miserable my real life is.
Yeah.
um, drugs, no. Antidepressants. Yeah, I don't really deal with it. I just live with it.
Yeah, maybe me too. I don't know. I don't know. I just get up and do my thing. And
There is no choice under capitalism.
I've been doing a blog for 8 years now. And
I mean, how do I deal with burnout? I quit everything I try. What happened to my blog? Dead. What happened to my Twitter? Private.
oh well.
Oh well. I've still got Tata, and that's all that counts. I hug my Tata collection. That's how I deal with burnout. I get into my Tata pajamas, I go under my Tata blanket, and I hug my Tata while sleeping on my Tata pillow. That's not even an exaggeration. That is literally how I sleep at night.
Yeah.
And I'm happy.
Cool. Very good. Um, I feel like I should offer some advice on how to deal with burnout, but honestly, I got no fucking idea. I just plow through it.
Blind leading the blinds.
I just plow through it, and yeah, it is tiring, but fuck it. I'll quit another day. I'll keep going.
Mm. I
And
mean, if I were to really make a comment on this, like again, I'm the worst person to really offer life advice. But for a very long time, very long time, for a while, I was working in an office environment. In my early 20s, late teens to early 20s, I worked in an office environment because my parents are very working class. Neither of them went to university, and their perception of my life was that I don't need to go to university either, because they both went to high school and then got jobs straight out of high school, and look where they've ended up in life. They didn't need a degree, so you don't need a degree, so you should go work straight after school. And that's essentially what I really did. And I was so fucking miserable. The thing that I wanted to do required a university degree, and I became very burnt out because we lived in a regional area and I had to travel very close to between 4 and 5 hours a day purely just on travel to get to the city. And then I would work in an office environment that I absolutely despised. And then I would have to travel between 2 and 2.5 hours to get home. And then I would have no energy for anything on the weekends because I was just so exhausted by my work schedule. Tried moving out into the city, and that itself was just as depressing. And my whole life was depressing as fuck. But what I will tell you is that I eventually, well, it unfortunately required basically like a constant near death scenario with me nearly dying half the time from my lungs collapsing every fucking couple of months for a while. But yeah, me nearly dying all the time. And I was kind of like, well, I don't want to be doing this with my life. I don't want to be working in an office. I want to be studying, and I want to be doing, this is what I want to do. So I managed to actually convince my mother to let me go to university, and I got the degree I wanted. I also changed my job to just working casually in retail to support myself through university. The deal that I made with my mother was that if I could sustain a part-time job for a year before going back to uni, that I could then go to uni. So it's to prove that I could financially support myself through the degree. And then I took the option of doing 3 units a semester over 4 years rather than 4 units a semester over 3 years. So I took the slightly longer approach to give myself a slightly less strenuous workload. And no regrets on that at all. So if the reason for your burnout partially might be because you're trying to rush things through to get where you want to be in life faster, knock it off, go slower. Your body will thank you for it. Your life will become a whole lot more bearable. And I got the degree I wanted. Now I work 2 jobs. So yes, I am still burnt out, but the 2 jobs that I do, I actually enjoy. And that actually decreases the burnt out effect. You are a lot less burnt out if you don't hate the job that you're going to. One job involves the degree that I got last year, that I officially completed last year. So I feel happy when I work that job because I'm like, yeah, I'm making use of this thing that I worked all of my
Mm.
20s for. So I feel like I'm productive and I'm doing what I wanted, that I set out to do. So I had a plan and I actually accomplished it. And that feeling of accomplishment really helps, I guess, negate the burnout effect. And I work that job in an evening. So I do teaching. That was part of the degree. So I do teaching because of that. And I do it of an evening. And then my daytime job is something 100% completely different. But it was just kind of just, I wanted a bit of extra income because my teaching job is in the evening. I'm like, okay, I want a bit of extra income. I've got all these days available. Try and get a daytime job that I can fit in. I was super lucky that I found a job where I can work, maybe it's between 3 and 4 days a week. So it's not a straight up 5 days a week. And the hours aren't too bad. Everyone is super nice. My boss is great. It's a small company, so it's like everyone knows everyone inside the company. We have like 5 employees, and it works for us because it's like everyone knows everyone. That means they know your strengths. It means they know your weaknesses, and everyone supports everyone as best as they can. So much of this is a bit of a wank fest because it's like, you can't just pick and choose which job you want to work at. So many people just have to choose a job that helps them survive. And I can't offer real advice to how do I deal with burnout when the reality is the world is shit and forces so many people into these positions where they have to work
I guess
so many hours.
I guess what you're trying to say is that you can at least try and make choices to
Yeah,
change the
all I'm trying
situation
to, yeah, I
just
just want to
to what
offer,
extent is available.
yeah, emotional support for anyone who's really considering doing something against the grain. And if you've got the option, try and take it, because from all the, like, from my own near death experiences that I did have, and I came really close a couple of times. I do not fear death because of how close I came to it several times, and also the painful experiences at the worst of my illness. I know that there are things in life that are far worse than what death is. Death is a release. Death is relaxation in my mind. But we're going deep here, people. We're getting dark as well.
Is getting away from the topic a little
Well, that
bit.
is what burnout ultimately does lead to. If you
Mm,
get too burnt out, that's the path that you're really thinking of
yeah.
when you get to the end of the line. And all I can really come to this is, like, if you get to that position where you think you're going to die, the things that you are thinking of in those moments are not regrets of, oh, I wish I didn't do that. It's, I wish I had the opportunity to do this.
Mm,
So as long as you're not hurting anybody else, and that's just like, that is my ultimate thing that I draw the line at, is so long as you are not hurting other people, do what you want with your life, because in 100 years, pretty much everyone who exists on this planet right now will not be here anymore. So whether you are rich, whether you are poor, we all end up in the same place under the earth. And the time that you have here is entirely yours. So do what you want with your time.
groovy. Um, sorry, while you're talking, the Google form crashed with all the questions on it.
Yay!
So I'm just trying to open it up again. Um,
Broke the fucking internet. How many more questions did we have?
it was about 20 or so.
Okay, we're going to churn through one a minute to make up for that.
If we can open this fucker. Come on, come on, you can't.
Open sesame.
I'm just seeing if there's a way I can download it instead, but it's not giving me.
What the fuck did you do, mate?
Oh no, yeah, I can't make a copy of it either. It's fucked. Um, well, do you want to do this podcast in two parts?
Part two.
Would you?
Yeah, just give me a sec. I'll open up my schedule
Yep.
and see when my next day off is. Oh, we can do it literally on Christmas Eve
Oh, fantastic.
and give the listeners, depending on if you are reading a transcription, we can give the readers slash listeners a real Christmas gift. We can record it on Christmas Eve, and depending on how busy you are, we might even upload it Christmas Day.
Cool. All right, we'll leave it there for now, and we will reconvene next time.
Yeah, so we'll leave you all with Australian Sana's life advice.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You know.
If you follow it, you can maybe end up as happy as I am.
Hey, we're all happy little Vegemites.
Yeah,
All right, cool. Thank you very much, and we will talk again soon.
not a problem. Always good to chat.
Okay, bye.
Bye.